let's just jump right in. And I'm going to do this session kind of like um, an open book test. Okay, so what you're seeing here on the screen is a picture of our homepage on our website. So I want to give you all the answers to what you are kind of working towards and starting a ministry. So what you want to do is when you go to our website, abilityministry.com, up in the upper right hand corner, you'll see a little bubble that says I want to. All right. So right there on the website, you can pull this up right now in your session if you want to, um, or just bookmark it and come back to it later. But you want to go to this button in the corner of our website, says I want to. And when you click on it, it's going to have 4 different options that are going to drop down. The first one is start a disability ministry. And that is the exact one that you're going to want to click on. It's going to take you to a page here that is the complete guide to building your disability ministry. Sorry about that. My cat is having a sneezing attack as I'm recording. All right. So this page on our website is going to give you everything that you need to build a disability ministry literally from scratch. Super comprehensive, and it's at every stage is going to give you free resources to use. So I'd encourage you, again, if you don't pull it up right now and just kind of scroll through it, bookmark our website, abilityministry.com, and don't forget about I want to start a disability ministry, and this guide will help you all the way. All right, so it's kind of like an open book test. Like I said, all the answers are right there. I'm going to walk you through a couple of them here in this session. So step 1 in formalizing a ministry. And this one is one of those kind of, okay, this is obvious. I know I need to do it. But I think a lot of times we neglect doing this because we get so excited about just wanting to hit the ground running. We forget some of these formative steps. All right. So step 1 is build a firm foundation. All right. And the obvious one that, kind of goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. You need to pray. All right. You need to ask God for wisdom, for God's guidance as you go on this journey. This is not something that you want to do apart from God. Your success, obviously, in ministry will be much greater if you stay in tune with God and where He is wanting you to take this ministry. All right. Second thing you need to do is to build a team. All right. Build a team around you. Don't wait till you get things started to try to scramble for volunteers. One of those first things you can do as you're praying is pray that God would help you to build that right team to help you in this journey. Disability ministry is not a Lone Ranger ministry. It's not a Superman or Superwoman ministry that can be done by one person. Your success will be dependent on the people that you surround yourself with. So start from the beginning. Surround yourself with people that are like-minded, have a similar passion for reaching your disability community for Jesus and offering hope to them, hope in the only way that the church can. The third thing you need to do at this kind of step is just grow together. As you're getting ready to hit the ground running in ministry, make sure you're all on the same page. And the only way you're going to do that is if you take the time to grow together. I want to give you a few different resources that will help you to be able to grow together. And they can all be found on our website at abilityministry.com. First thing I'm going to show you is one of our disability awareness videos. All right. If you go to our website, you click on the resources tab on the top page, it'll drop down and give you a videos option. There's 3 different types of videos that you can look at. One is awareness, one is training, and another are sermons that we have. But this video that I'm going to show you is a disability awareness video. So take time as a team to grow together, to watch some of these videos that will help you be prepared for ministry, not only in training, but having the right heart and mindset. So let's watch this video together.
Say wave hi. is that?
Bible.
You love your Bible, don't you?
You search me, Lord.
And
And
you
will
know
know
me.
me.
You know when I'm sick.
And my wife.
You ever see my thoughts from afar?
You discern my going out.
And am I lying down?
You're familiar with all my ways.
Only will stand a time.
You know us completely.
For you created my inmost being.
And let me together, my mother.
I praise you.
I praise you.
I praise you.
I'm gonna hold that right there. How's that? Can we put it right there?
Because I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
You was wonderful.
My flame wasn't hidden from you.
When I was made in the secret place.
When I was woven together.
In
The
the depths
depth
of
of
the
the
earth.
earth.
Your eyes saw my unformed body.
You're listening for me.
Winter in your book.
Before one of them came to be.
How fast is the sum of them?
They outnumber the grains of sand.
I am.
I am
I am deadly.
The free meat.
'Cause I am beautifully, wonderfully made.
I so love that video. We recorded that at First Christian Church in Canton, Ohio. That was when I was the full-time disability ministry pastor there, and so many of those folks, such close friends, and I love seeing them on video, and I love sharing them with you. I hope that video maybe is a bit of inspiration for you, motivation for you, knowing what can be and what should be at your church, to be able to see that, by sharing my friends with you. So you're continuing to grow together as a team. You're watching some of these videos. What another thing that I would encourage you to grow together is to study together. What you're seeing on the screen right here is a resource that we created called "What Does the Bible Really Say About Disability?" It's a one-page document, so you're seeing the front and the back here. You should download some of these one-page documents and study together, and make sure you're on the right and same page about what the Bible says about disability, because the Bible has a lot to say about disability. God is not silent on the topic of disability, and you need to have a firm foundation based in truth, and that truth can only be found in the Bible. So study together. Another thing that you can do as you continue to kind of grow together, download this document that we created called Wrong Assumptions About Disability. You want to make sure that you're going into ministry thinking and believing the right things, and not believing some of these assumptions about disability that kind of are ingrained into culture, and maybe ingrained into you, and you maybe have never really challenged some of those thoughts and assumptions. So this is a good one to do as you grow together as a team of volunteers. And then the last resource here that I'll share with you is just one on disability etiquette. Things to say, things not to say, things to do, things not to do, that can help you. And it comes with specific tips about engaging people with disabilities, because you want to put your foot in your mouth the least amount of times as possible as you get started. So these are helpful things as you build a firm foundation, as you grow together as a team. So step 2, after you've kind of built that foundation based on truth, you want to start doing your homework. All right. The first thing that you're going to do homework wise is you're going to study your own church. All right. To do that, There are several different things that you can do. You can do a survey. We've created a specific survey that churches can use or customize. I'll show you that in just a second. But you want to find out who you have. The best way to start a disability ministry, to formalize what you want to do at your church, is to simply start with who's already there. It's an important concept is starting internally before you kind of roll out the red carpet to your community. Because if you start with who you have, you make mistakes with who you have, you work out all the the different things that you're gonna make those mistakes in the beginning. The people that are already at your church already love you and will forgive you when you make those mistakes. So start with who you have. In order to do that, you got to find out who you have. So you do a survey, figure out who's there. The next thing that you need to do as you're doing your homework is to study your actual campus, wherever your church meets. Whether it's in a new building that's fully accessible, it's built after 1990, or it's an older building that's built before 1990 that maybe does not comply to accessibility rules. Or if you just want to go beyond the bare minimum of what the ADA says, we encourage you to study your campus to find out if it truly is accessible or not. And we've got a tool for that for you as well. So here's just what we call the Indispensable Church Survey. It's based on a different model for ministry. So not everything on here maybe will be useful if you're just doing this as a general survey for your church, but there's a lot of different questions here that you can probably use or modify if you're doing a survey for your own church. And here is the accessibility checklist that I mentioned just a second ago. You want to make sure that your church campus communicates what's in your heart, right? Let me say that again. You want to make sure that your church campus communicates what is in your heart, because oftentimes a campus may give a message that is different than what you believe in your heart about people with disabilities. And it does that by speaking for you when it comes to accessibility. So there's a lot of different things here that you can use. This is another kind of grow together as a team as you prepare for ministry. You need to see the message that your campus is sending, because your campus will send a message for you about what you believe about disability before you ever have a chance to meet someone. So there's different sections here: parking lot, building entrance, signage, restrooms, worship center, classrooms, and additional items. So you simply walk through your campus, check yes or check no. If you check no, come up with an action plan on how to address some of these accessibility issues, because you want your campus to communicate a message that your church loves people with disabilities, has thought about people with disabilities, and values them enough to address these accessibility issues. You don't want to, again, get caught with your foot in your mouth with respect to accessibility if you're trying to build an inclusive culture. All right. So you're continuing to do some studying, some homework. You've studied your campus, your church, who's already there. You also need to study your community. You can do this by doing a census study, figuring out exactly how many people live with disability in your city or your county, to know exactly, what you're working towards. You can do a study of the school systems. Public schools have to post records, so you can actually go in and find out how many students have disabilities in the different school systems, and you can find out exactly what kind of disabilities students have in the school systems all around you. And you also want to do some homework by meeting with leaders in the disability community. So again, we've got tools for you to help you in doing these kind of homework and study pieces. I'll show you here a couple quickly. I mentioned the census. So here's a screenshot of Canton, Ohio. I chose Canton, Ohio because that's where I live. All right. So if you plug in Canton, Ohio into the quick facts census study, it'll pull up like the total population here. So it doesn't look like it doesn't have the 2020 numbers yet. So the latest census numbers says there's 70,426 people in Canton, Ohio. If you highlight the disability section, it's under the health section. It'll bring up the percentage of people under the age of 65 that live with disability in my city. So 13.1%. So if you do the math on that, 13.1% of 70,426, you'll find out exactly how many people live with disability in your city or your county under the age of 65. This number is very specific because under the age of 65 denotes somebody that lives with disability or has become disabled as a result of something other than aging. All right. If we all, are lucky enough to live past the age of 65, as we age, we're probably going to become disabled in one way or another. So these are people that live with disability every single day in your community. I always encourage people, when you find out that number, write that number real big in your office, on your refrigerator, on your mirror, somewhere you're going to see it every single day. And when you see that number, stop and pray. Pray that God would help you to be able to reach all those people in your community affected by disability, to be able to help you share the good news with them. So pray for them specifically by that number. All right. I'm also mentioned that you can find out schools, how many kids have disabilities and exactly what those disabilities are. On that Start a Disability Ministry page that I showed you at the beginning of the session, it gives you the link to be able to find these things. So again, I pulled up here Hoover High School. So that's where my kids go to school. So you can find out total student enrollment, 1,530 students. And then you can scroll down and you can see that there are 17% of those students have disabilities. So again, you can do the math and figure out exactly how many kids have a disability or qualify for help in schools because of maybe a learning disability or different things that are going on. If you dig a little bit deeper, like I said, you can find out exactly what kind of disabilities are in the school systems around you. It's all helpful information, and it'll all help you try to kind of formalize where a good starting point for your ministry will be. Okay. I also mentioned that you need to, as you're doing homework, meet with community leaders. So the question is who, because there are a lot of different community leaders that work in the field of disability all around you. Here are just a few ideas. One would be the superintendent of the local board of developmental disabilities. All right, so this is the government kind of sector that helps people with disabilities in your area. I would also meet with the director of Special Olympics in your area. If you have other sports leagues for people with disabilities, meet with their directors. Go into the schools again. Meet with the director of special education in the different school systems. And then also, come up with a list of leaders in different disability organizations. So whether it be like day programs or work programs, there's just so many different people that you can meet with. So make a list and then decide to meet with each of them. And here's two questions that I want you to ask each of these leaders. All right. It doesn't have to be a long meeting. It doesn't have to be, something that you're nervous about. You just say, hey, if you have a few minutes of time, I'd love to ask you two questions. Here's the first question. What is the biggest need in the disability community? Ask them that. Take notes. Make note of it. All right. These will, again, be helpful things as you start to formalize your ministry, how you are going to be a blessing to your community. You don't know the best way to bless your community until you know the greatest need in your community. All right. Second question is the kind of a follow-up to the first question is, how can our church be a blessing? No strings attached. All right. I've done this, when we started our ministry, this is the exact approach that I used. Sometimes the leaders that I asked had a very specific list of things that were needs and different ways that the church could help meet those needs. Other times when I asked that question, leaders were just like kind of floored and didn't know what to say because they'd never been asked. Like, oh my gosh, here's a group of people that legitimately want to help, and I don't know what to say. So it's a great way in building relationships, long-lasting relationships in your community that will help you as you formalize ministry. So you're taking notes. You're trying to figure out, okay, where does God want us to start in our ministry to have an impact? Because it's both going to be internal and it's going to be external. You cannot just do things for the people in your church. You got to be thinking outside the walls of your church too, but there's a specific timeline to that. Again, our guide to starting a disability ministry will walk you through some of those things. All right, let's get to step 3 though. Okay. Step 3 in kind of formalizing and starting a disability ministry is to get leadership on board. All right. The ceiling of your ministry is the level of your leadership buy-in. All right. If your leadership doesn't buy in and see this as like a viable, necessary ministry, something that God truly wants, and to become the DNA, part of the DNA of your church, you're going to run into a lot of headaches and a lot of frustrations in your ministry. And it's good to know that up front before you get too far in the process, right? So meet with leadership. Tell them some of the things that you have found in the homework that you have done in step 2, because I think once they get to know some of the things that you have discovered, they'll get excited too. And if they don't get excited and they don't see it as a viable ministry, this might be one of those situations where Jesus tells his disciples to shake the dust off their sandals and move on to the next town. This may be one of those situations where if leadership says, "Nah, we're not going to do that," this may be a situation for you to find another local church that does value it and jump into there. All right. So again, when you're talking about getting leadership on board, getting them to buy in, sometimes that can be an intimidating thing if you're not a staff person, if you're a parent of a child with a disability that's trying to get something started, or if you're just somebody that loves Jesus and loves people with disabilities, and again, you're not a staff person, it can be intimidating. So we have created tools for you. All right. So if you go again to our website, I put the link there. So if you can write real fast, you can write that down, or just go to our store, or just go to our website and search why start a disability ministry resource. You can see that it's the right price. It's free. So you can download this resource and it will help you prepare for that meeting with church leadership, to give you all the things that you need to have a successful meeting, to help them see that this ministry is not only viable, but at the heart of God and necessary. All right. So part of this download, if you download this free resource, why our church should start a disability ministry, you'll get again another 1-page doc. So you're seeing the front and the back of this document. It is customizable. All right. It means that it has blanks built into it for you to fill in. Again, step 2, you did your homework. So you can fill in the section here where it says there is a huge opportunity in our community. You can write down the exact number of people in your community with disabilities. And you can do that for your city and for your county. You can help leadership to see that this is actually a real need and it can help the church. But not only can it help the church, it goes both ways. You can help your community and the community can help your church. So it kind of goes through some of those things. It's not just a one-way street. And then there's another section for you to fill in what starting a disability ministry would mean to me. Make it personal, make your plea, share your heart. All right. And not only that, but it will also show you, a section where you can write out how you can help. Because as a ministry leader, I worked in the local church for over 15 years, and I had people come up to me time and time again saying, "Hey, we need to do this." And when people would say, "We need to do this," they really meant you need to do this. So they would present a need to me. They wouldn't tell me how it was going to work. They just told me that I needed to do it. And anytime I was approached with something like that, I was really turned off, because I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about that. And you're just telling me I need to do it, and good luck. That's not helpful. So this resource is super helpful, as it gives all the information in a super easy and understandable format that will help ministry leaders to see, okay, this is real, this is needed, and this is how we can do it. It's not difficult, and we're not alone in it. Ability Ministry can help us in this venture. So after you've done that, you've had your meeting with them, you're going to get them excited. you're going to kind of come to this point where you need to find your starting point. You've done your homework. You've met with leadership. You've prayed. You've built your team. You've found out who is in your congregation, right? That was one of the very first things. Find out who you have, because you want to start with who you have. So you found those people in your congregation. You want to invite them to a meeting. You want to bless them, and you want basically to just listen to them. So, have a meeting of, parents of individuals with disabilities, invite people with disabilities to come to this meeting, and make it kind of a invite only type of thing. All right. So you're going to come and you're going to bless them. So, have refreshments and just say, hey, we want to present to you what we know, things that we have found as we've done our homework about our community. But most of all, we want to know what you know, right? You want to learn from the people in your congregation, what they know about the experience of living with disability, about how the church can bless them, about how they can be a part of helping in the church, right? Because again, disability ministry is not a one-way street. It's not about you helping somebody in need. It's about you partnering in ministry and them. It's not an us versus them. It's an us. We need to do ministry together. So we're going to give you 7 questions to ask in this family meeting, where you're meeting with individuals from your congregation. And one of the most important things is, as you ask these 7 questions, just listen for common themes from people. When you listen for common themes and when you pray, God's going to make real clear what that starting point should be for your ministry. And when I say starting point, I want you to hear me very clearly here. When you get excited about doing disability ministry, you may want to start off trying to do everything. And that comes from a good heart and from excitement, but it's usually a bad strategy. You try to do too many things with too few volunteers from the beginning. You don't end up doing many things well, and you burn out the few people you have. So look for a starting point, a 1, maybe 2 things at the most that you're going to do to start with. And you're going to start with the people that you have. You're going to do this all internally before you make an announcement to your community. All right. So here are the 7 key questions that you're going to ask families. And again, you don't have to worry about writing feverishly to keep up here, because they are all found on our website on that page I showed you. So first question you're going to ask is, what is your biggest need as a family? What is your biggest need as a family? And then you're going to kind of broaden the scope a little bit and ask them, what is the biggest need in the disability community? All right. See if some of their things that they're saying line up with what some of the community leaders have said as far as being big needs in the community. Then ask them, what are their hopes and dreams, right? Oftentimes, too often, we come into this ministry, with the savior complex, thinking, oh, I'm going to come in here and help somebody with a disability. You being their savior. But that's not how it works, right? Oftentimes we get into ministry, we're more blessed than the people that we think we're coming in there to be a blessing to, because we realize that these are people created by Jesus that have gifts that God has given them, that God has plans for them. They have hopes and dreams too, because God has gifted them and blessed them. So you want to find out what that is. And you want to know how to engage them well in some of those hopes and dreams. This is where it kind of gets personal for the church. You want to ask them, what does the church do well? This can be very pointed, when it comes to engaging people with disabilities or not. Are there ways that the church is already doing things good? And then the flip side of that, what areas could the church improve in? Maybe some of these things that they will bring up with this question will line up with some of the things that you had on your accessibility checklist, things where you checked no on things where you needed to address things. The next question is, if our church could do only one thing to be a blessing to your family, what would it be? This is kind of that narrowing the focus, finding that starting point. Where are we going to start off, and how are we going to do things well by doing a few things well and then growing from there? And then that last question, what can I do to help the church? Again, you want to recognize that ministry here is not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. You want to engage their giftedness too. You want to allow them an opportunity to serve and be a blessing to the body of Christ. All right. So continuing on finding a starting point. Want you to, just a couple last reminders. Disability ministry is not a marathon. I'm sorry, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You got to be in this for the long haul. That's why it's important, to start with a few things, one or two things, do them well, and kind of grow from there. You want to start with who you have. They already love you and trust you. They're going to forgive you when you make mistakes. So start your ministry kind of under the radar. Don't let your community know, even though word will get out. Start small, do things well. Once you have things worked out, then you can kind of make those announcements to your community, update your website, do the marketing, and we have tools for that as well. But just continue to meet needs. You've made your list of items from the community leaders that you've met with. You've taken your notes from families as they've mentioned, kind of what are the biggest needs. And after you find that kind of, that starting point, through conversations and prayer, you're going to have, this is number one, number two that we want to do. They're going to have 3, 4, 5, that are going to be next and close on the list. Start working on those next. Disability ministry is different for every church because every church is a little different and every community is a little different. So where you may start in one church may not be the same place you'll start in another church. And there's no right or wrong. I don't think starting point, like you're not going to pick a wrong starting point if you've done your homework and you've found out what the greatest needs are. So you just kind of prioritize those and just continue to meet needs, expand your ministry. Once you guys feel comfortable with your processes and safety and security and different things like that, then you can open up to your community and be a greater blessing, because ministry is not only just for the people in the church, it's more for those in your community. And you've done your homework and you're ready to hit the ground running. So I know this was a lot really quickly, but I want you to know that you're not alone. So if you go back to our homepage on our website, you can go to that I want to button. You can click on that. Like I said, there's 4 different things there. Second thing there after start a disability ministry is get free consultation. We offer free consultation to churches because we want to see you succeed. So if you've kind of done your homework, you've worked on these 4 steps and you still need a little bit of encouragement, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help you get things going. All right. Thank you for spending some time with me. Here are, again, some different ways to get a hold of me if you have questions. If you just want to get in touch, you can find us online at abilityministry.com or on social media at Ability Ministry. You can email me directly, ryan@abilityministry.com. Appreciate all you're doing for your community and for the kingdom. Keep up the great work as you get things formalized and start your ministry.